Hey everyone, welcome back to Pokémon Insurgence. On the last part, we started taking on a few different little side quests that were left over in the postgame, such as saving Damien's mother and collecting Lugia in Rayquaza. Or Rayquaza, if that's how you choose to pronounce it. On this part, we're actually going to go ahead and finish up the rest of the postgame, or most of it actually. I don't know if we'll actually finish all of it. I know there's one part that we definitely won't finish. But we're going to be doing probably the most infamous part of the postgame, I believe. So we're going to be heading to the Perfection Base, which is why we're here in Helio City. And we're going to be heading down over here. And here in the Perfection Base, we're going to find a Pokeball. Going to have one last chance. The entrance seems to be in Amphitrite City. R. That's actually pretty foreboding, and what it means is that we do need to head to Amphitrite City, and we probably need to pay our friends, the Timeless, a little bit of a visit. Alright, so we're here in the Crystal Caves in Amphitrite City, and we're about to enter the domain of the Timeless. I figured I'd skip to this point, because we've been here many times, and we know how to get here at this point. So I like this. You can actually see that it's overflowing with lava this time, and I assume that means some sort of damage has been done. The only thing we can really do over here is use Hyperspace Hole and head on into the Void Gauntlet. And immediately right over here we're going to see Dawn. He's become too powerful. Couldn't take him down. Which says a lot. I assume she's speaking about Reukra. That's all you can really assume here. So this little gauntlet here is going to have a few unique encounters that we're going to have to deal with. I recommend strong fairy types. Thankfully we have 3 of them. I'm probably going to save Meloetta for last. Although I do kind of have to use Meloetta here. So when we enter right here, a strange flute melody is going to echo in the distance. And we'll be up against the Azure Flute Emergency Defense System. So this thing throws out a Mega Salamence against us. Thankfully, I have Lilligant right here. I actually put the choice specs on this because I don't really plan on using this seriously. I just want to use this to actually clear out some of the random encounters that we're going to be dealing with. So after that, the flute is going to echo a little bit louder. Over here, we actually see Suzerain, who is also stumped as to how much power that person has. I feel like it's pretty bad when the creator of a game, or the NPC version of them, is freaking out about someone else's power. Anyways, there's not much here in the forest, but if we enter the Cave of Origin, here we'll have Steven, who says he's been hearing that flute echo through the caverns for hours. What is he playing? What could such a powerful artifact do? It's actually pretty fitting that Steven thinks that way. And I say that because, realistically, Omega Ruby in Alpha Sapphire, or even the original Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, comes before Sinnoh. And Steven wouldn't really know about the Azure Flute. It doesn't really make sense. Anyways, since we're here back in the Voidal Gauntlet, I'm going to show off a couple things that I missed. So, last time we were here, we could have grabbed the Chatot, which is up here with Waterfall. I kind of forgot about that, and when I realized it, I was just like, well, we do go back there one last time. It'll be fine. The flute melody is going to take on a haunting tune, and we're going to deal with this Goodra right here. I probably should have switched my team around. I could have used something else, but this will also probably be fine. Yeah, it's not really that big of a deal. It probably seems like I'm over-leveled here when I'm fighting against the Pokemon that we're going to encounter in the defense system, but that's really not the case. And I didn't mean to do that. I always do that too. I don't like how they put it, how they make you come out of this portal right here in the Pokemon Tower just south of it. It's really, really weird. But unfortunately they do. So the melody is going to continue, and we're going to be up against a Gothadel, a Mega Gothadel. So that's a little bit freaky, but again, we have a strong fairy type up here, and this thing does become part dark, so we can go ahead and hit this with the Moonblast. Take it out. So we're just going to keep going on. We should be here in Dark Isle now, which is pretty cool. And we'll finally encounter Cynthia right up here. Tore through me and my team. If you fight him, this might be your toughest challenge yet, Icy. I like how they kind of save Cynthia, or sort of last here. She is sort of the only person out of the Timeless that would really, really know about the Azure Flute. Also, over here, I forgot to grab this last time we were here, but here are the DNA splicers. I feel like I showed them off at some point, but at the same time, I realized that they're there, so I probably didn't. Over here is going to be the Spear Pillar. We're going to continue on into the Hall of Legends. Right up here is where you might want to do a safety save. I'm actually going to make sure that I put Escavalier up here. And the strange flute melody is going to rise to a deafening roar. So we'll be up against Dialga and Palkia, which is absolutely insane. So I'm going to switch Logan out into Mew. I think they usually tag team on one of my Pokemon. I'll go ahead and play rough on the Palkia. Yeah, there we go. So that's the Palkia down. That's usually how this goes. And then we can go ahead and double team the Dialga. I guess I'll just do that. And we should be done in just a second. So it doesn't really matter that it takes me out. Escavalier puts in some pretty decent work, even though it is like 5 levels higher. And the mysterious flute will continue to echo even louder. And finally, we'll be here at the Throne of the Hegemon. So right inside here, I think right here you want to drop a safety save, and I'm actually going to switch up my party here. So I have Meloetta right here, Delta Meloetta. And I'm going to show this off really, really quickly. I didn't know if we were going to get to this part on the last part or not, so I've had this prepared for a while. We have the leftovers for the held item. I gave it some EVs and attack and speed. Didn't really bother with the final stat. And over here we have Power Punch. We have my custom move, which is set for ground right now, so I called it crude. We have Sucker Punch, and then we have Play Rough. I also have Mega Eevee over here. I don't think we'll get to use this though, which is completely fine, but I do need to show off Meloetta at the least. And I'll actually talk about why I have to do that right now, as soon as we get into the battle. Oh, look who it is. I shouldn't be surprised you showed up. You have a knack for always appearing when exciting things are happening. I'm going for broke, I see. This is probably the most extreme thing I've ever done. I have the Azure Flute, the key to the land where Arceus itself sleeps. I don't know how Tane stumbled across such an incredible artifact, but I'm thankful he didn't know how to use it. Could you imagine the disaster the world would be in with Arceus under his control? But me, on the other hand, everything I've done has been in search of perfection. From the original dragon to Mewtwo, Delta species, to armors. They've all fallen short. Nothing was as perfect as I needed it to be. The legends say Arceus created the universe, the strongest Pokemon of all time. I was going to leave Tauren forever, but the opportunity to see Arceus outweighs anything else. As I'm sure you know, the domain of a legendary Pokemon is tied to its artifact. It's how Audrey brought the Whirl Islands to Tauren. All I had to do was play the flute. I sounded terrible. I'm no musician, but it seems to have done the trick. Finally, after many years, Arceus is awakening. I'll be unstoppable, undefeatable. The power of Arceus will be mine. You want to battle, I see. Really? Kid, I don't think you get it. Do you really think that if you win, I'll just leave? No, I refuse to be stopped. I'll crush you, and together with the strongest Pokemon of all, show the world exactly what true perfection is. So, we're gonna finally have that rematch with Reukra right here. And his team is pretty much very reminiscent of our previous encounter with him. So he's got the Tutor right here. He's got Sandstream, he's got the Tyranitar armor, he's got Stone Edge, Earthquake, Crunch, and Dragon Dance. So this is a pretty scary set. What we have right here on my Mellow Edda, though, is a setup set with leftovers. So we take reduced damage from critical, or actually super effective hits due to filter. So we can kind of just start setting up right here. I'm thinking right here that 2 power-up punches should be good enough. It is really unfortunate that we do take damage from the Sandstorm, and it's unfortunate that he actually hits us with the Stone Edge. I don't think I need any more. But I'll actually go for broke right here. So I'll go ahead and I'll continue to get my power-up punches. I think I'll go ahead and just boost up all the way. So the reason I was talking about using Mellow Edda and how it was so important to use Mellow Edda right now is because Mellow Edda, even though it is a Delta, I can't actually use it in the battle facilities. It's kind of limited. So I either show it off now or I probably won't ever get the chance. Anyways, next up here is going to be Delta Goodra, as Water Absorb has the Assault Vest, has Earthquake, Muddy Water, Sludge Bomb, Ice Beam. It doesn't really matter. We are a +4 attack, Mellow Edda. I'm going to drop the Play Rough. He can revive Tutor if he wants, but it doesn't really matter at this point. So next up, he's got Bisharp right here. So Bisharp is going to be Defiant, has the Bisharp Bite though, which means it's going to Mega Evolve and gain a Moxie. It has Sucker Punch, Knockoff, Iron Head, and Brick Break. So right here, I think the best thing I can do is go for Sucker Punch. It'll probably Iron Head me. That's really unfortunate. I think I'll go for Play Rough instead, because I do have to knock this thing out or it's going to knock me out instead. Next up, he has the Volcarona right here. So he has the Levitate, he has the Delta Volcarona armor, has Dark Pulse, Sledge Wave, Roost, and Giga Drain. This is kind of the thing that I wanted to keep my custom move for, but honestly, it's probably better to just hit play rough. Next up, he's got Neuvern. So this thing has Infiltrator, has the choice specs, has Draco Meteor, Hurricane, Flamethrower, and U-Turn. Now, Neuvern is pretty fast, but we do have Sucker Punch right here. There's honestly not much you need Sucker Punch for on Delta Meloetta. He's going to send out Tutor again as well here, so he'll get that Sandstorm back up. Doesn't really matter at this point. I could even go for a Power Punch and probably knock it out from full. Yeah, I might as well. I really might as well. Okay, that was pretty close. Doesn't really matter at this point. Yeah, one of my biggest complaints about Delta Meloetta is the fact that Sucker Punch is probably your best stab move for Dark, but it's not always usable. Finally, right here, we've got the Mewtwo. So this is the Pokémon Mewtwo right here. It's got the Psychic Dark typing. Has the Intimidate, has Life Orb, has Psy Strike, Ice Beam, Flamethrower, and Dark Nova. I've already explained Pokemon before, but if you're unsure, you can actually look to the side of Mewtwo's HP and you can see that there is a little bar right there. If it gets up to 5 segments, then it's going to go into burst mode and it's going to be a massive problem. Thankfully, we have the Play Rough right here. Also, I should mention that Pokemon Mewtwo's special move is called Dark Nova, and this thing is absolutely terrifying. The good news is Dark Nova can only be used when this Mewtwo is in burst mode, because otherwise this move hits twice and it has 135 base power. And to top it all off, it compares Mewtwo's base attacking stat and special attacking stat, and it basically uses whichever depending on which would do more damage. So it's actually really hard to wall this, and I should have Sucker Punched. Oh well, I guess I can send an Eevee right here and finish this thing off. So that's kind of really unfortunate. That's fine, I'll just go ahead and Mega Evolve, and we'll Foul Play this. Probably knock it out, maybe? Or at least do quite a bit of damage. Even if we don't knock it out, that's cool because we can actually see the gauge right there slowly filling up. Alright, there you go. You can actually see it's in burst mode right now. Unfortunately, it is kind of burned, so Burn in the Life Orb will probably knock itself out. So that's actually pretty cool. I still can't seem to take you down. No matter, my plan hasn't changed. Arceus is nearly awake. This is it. This is the moment I've waited my entire life for. Arceus, the perfect Pokemon. I have one Master Ball left. You're mine. What? Why isn't it working? One of the crystal shards from your bag disappeared in a white light. Oh no. And there it is, we have Arceus. Alright, so this is Primal Arceus right here. Very interesting. So Primal Arceus in it of itself is actually a normal dragon type. It has a new ability called Ancient Presence, which basically gives it stab on everything. Also means that all of its attacks deal neutral damage, regardless of what type they are or what type they're effective against. This effectively means that, unfortunately, you can wall Primal Arceus with Wonder Guard, but at the same time, once you get extreme speed on this thing, you're just doing tons and tons of damage. Regular Arceus actually has a cool change as well. It has a hidden ability, and that hidden ability is Protean, which is actually pretty fun to use. Anyways, besides that though, you'll encounter this thing at level 85. I don't know if that's different on hard mode these days, and there's a reason for that. So at level 90, Arceus actually gets access to Perish Song, and that's normally why you would actually save your Master Ball for this fight, because it would just drop a Perish Song and it would ruin your life. That's not necessary on normal mode anymore, but I don't know about hard mode. I don't know if they changed it on hard mode or not. But there used to be a ton of people complaining on the Insurgence forums and other places because it was really, really annoying. Also, it has that really, really cool Dex entry. So we're gonna send that to our PC. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Somehow, you're always able to scam your way into the most ridiculous victories. And somehow, you're even able to beat perfection. True perfection. Even the Pokemon who was said to have created the universe kneels to you. I'm done with you meddling kids. I'm moving to a region without you heroes. I can deal with grown-ups. They scare easily. But somehow children and their Pokemon always seem to beat trained adults. Maybe I'll visit Kanto. I'm sure that never happens there. No way any mobster loses to some nerdy kid there. Someone else will take over the league in my absence, I'm sure. The way things are going, probably another kid. If I were you, I'd go check it out. I heard some champion level strength kid from Vezerin was visiting. The way this region is going, they'll probably end up being the champion for your rematches. But I see, when you get older... Tane was a terrible assistant, but if you ever want to make some money on the side, let me know, There might be a career for you in this kind of thing. I'll be waiting, kiddo. And there we go. We've completed basically the most annoying, or I don't want to say most annoying, but it's probably one of the most infamous post-game side missions. And it's actually a very, very good one. I think most people enjoy that one. Anyways, there's some loose ends that we can cover up now. So we're going to be heading back to Helios. We're actually going to be heading to the Perfection Cult base again. Alright, so we're back here at the Perfection base in Helios City, or the underground rather. And the police have raided it. It's completely busted open. There doesn't seem to be much here. Reukra made off with most of the interesting stuff. Most of it. There's still some incriminating stuff here. Indeed there is. So if we come up over here, we'll actually find the Delta Volcarona armor, which is pretty cool, but you'll also notice that there's a ton of books and they're actually diaries that we can read. So, let's read them. Meche Town lab in shambles due to second Volcarona. Evidence suggests a lethal toxin emitted into the air upon evolution. I've begun to move all my equipment to my alternate base beneath Helios City. It's not the same, but it'll do. After the toxin has cleared, I will make a note to return to retrieve what remains. The potential of this Pokemon is astounding, however, I need to find a way to control it. Perhaps a legendary Pokemon of some sort. I've instructed Tane to begin a search for the Neuvern dragons. As the legendary Pokemon that represents perfection, the original dragon should almost definitely be able to deal with my little Volcarona problem. On to the next one. I've been continuing to research on restraining disobedient Pokemon, and I've come across a patent filed by Anastasia for the creation of protecting and controlling armors. This is fantastic news. Not only would armor help me control Delta Volcarona, I can add to the list of possible ways a perfect Pokemon can be created. It's definitely worth looking into for multiple reasons. Haim seems to have had some success with the Unova Dragon's task, having found Kyurem and Zekrom already. I will ask him to commission an armor for Zekrom off of Anastasia. Perhaps that would be enough to make Zekrom perfect. But I'd also like to reverse engineer it myself to create an armor for Delta Volcarona. I should keep it docile enough to bend to my will. Success. The armor was capable in restricting and controlling Delta Volcarona. I've left a prototype here just in case something happens, but everything seems to be going well so far. Interestingly, while doing research into armor, I found some of the old Team Rocket files. Apparently, they also attempted to use armor to control a disobedient, powerful Pokemon, Mewtwo. Conveniently enough, the files contained a blueprint for the cloning machine they used to make it. If I have time, I'll see if I can make it myself. I'd love to have a Mewtwo under my command. While doing research into cloning and DNA for the Mewtwo cloning machine I've been developing, I found links to a very interesting event that happened in Hoenn a while ago. Something called the Delta episode, where a battle between Deoxys and Rayquaza caused many small DNA changes throughout the region. Harmony and her father are from Hoenn. This definitely bears investigating. I'm also interested in the impacts this may have had on Mega Evolution. Rayquaza seems to be the original Mega, and it was Mega Evolution that seems to have triggered the whole event. There seems to be some stuff about the ancient king and a meteorite being the origin of Megastones. It's a long shot, but perhaps some stones could be created for some of the deltas I've been experimenting on. And finally, I've been having trouble with the whole Delta Mega Evolution idea I had a while back. It seems there's more to Mega Evolution than just the stone. Pokemon needs a strong bond of trust and love between itself and its trainer. While there's a low chance of that ever applying to me, perhaps. My old colleague friend, Vanessa Sylvan, ended up being a professor. It's her job to give Pokemon to kids, who are, of course, naturally trusting and loving. I'll give her some of my spare experimental Pokemon, test subjects disguised as failures. I have a modified Mega Ring that records data and sends it to my servers. If these Pokemon ever find a strong connection, I'll get in contact with the trainers and gift it to them. I hope Sylvan takes them. A better understanding of Mega Evolution could be very useful. There's a key of some sort in the back of the book. And we'll find the laboratory key in the back of book number 5. But that's not exactly it. Over here, where this PC used to be, we'll actually find a hidden entrance. And down here, we are going to find some boulder puzzles. So these puzzles are fairly easy, and I say that, but I might mess up a little bit. So we basically just want to push these boulders onto the pressure pads that are over there. Again, fairly easy. There's also a notice board right here. This will become more important in the next set. Mainly because the notice board will tell us how many pressure pads we actually have to have boulders on. So in this case, there's only 2 pressure pads and there's only 2 boulders, so kind of makes sense. In this situation though, it will actually tell you that there's only 2 required switches, but there are 3, and there are 3 boulders. Actually, I messed that one up just a little bit. Also, I recommend saving. If you mess up, you can actually leave and exit and come back, but the problem is that actually resets everything down here. And I don't think you want to have to redo every single puzzle. So after you complete a switch, make sure to drop a save, and that way you have a good point to reset from. So again, hopefully I don't mess these up. If I do though, I can stealthily reset and you probably won't notice. Anyways, this room is probably the room that's going to likely trip everybody up. So for starters, you're going to notice that the sign over here says that there's 3 required switches. You're also going to notice that these 2 boulders, no matter how you look at it, are useless. You can sit there for the entire day and try to get these boulders out, try to look for some sort of secret. It's not going to work for you. So no matter what, you have 2 boulders, but there's also something interesting right here. There's a pink panel right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our first boulder right here and put that on the pink panel, or weight, pressure plate. And we're going to steal a boulder from this room, bring it on over here. And we should be pretty good, right? So we're going to go ahead and now use these boulders. We're kind of locked into this room, but that's fine. And we can now put these boulders on the various pressure plates, and we should be pretty good. We'll satisfy the requirement. Also, we'll get to that Manatee Statue in just a little bit. So let's go ahead and move this boulder right into its final place. Again, you might want to be careful. You might actually want to save after every single boulder you get into place. That way, you don't have to actually leave the room and reset every single puzzle down here. So that's all 3 switches, but now we have this green switch, and we don't have any more boulders. Well, there is a solution. And first off, we're going to go ahead and heart swap on over here. So if we heart swap over here, we'll get a strange gemstone that was left on the ground. Its energy seems to resonate with the Mega Ring. So this is the crystal fragment, and that is what you would use to Mega Evolve Delta Metagross Ruin. So anyways, I'm going to heart swap back. This is probably something you should grab as soon as you get in here, because the way I'm doing this is really inconvenient. What I mean by that is I'm actually going to take this boulder right here, and I'm going to go ahead and put it onto this pink pressure plate, if I can angle things right. So unfortunately, we need to be able to access this room right here. So once we've done so, we can actually take the Manatee Statue, heart swap it into that room, hop over that ledge, and we want to enter this room again. So now that we've done that, we actually have that statue. And because we have that statue, I can go ahead and move this boulder on into place. Although I want to get that statue out of the way. The idea here is that we can also use the Manatee Statue to weigh down the pressure platings. So we want to get it over there. So if I can get this right up here. So now we've got that opened up, and we can just come right over here. Heart swap on over. And we're good to go. Down here, if we come all the way over to the end right here, you'll notice that it looks like something should be here, but it's not. So if we talk to this right here, we'll actually have a puzzle. So this is a rotating puzzle, and our goal here is to get everything into its proper place. So if you've played one of these before, then you know sort of the strategy. You want to get everything but the last row down here into its proper place. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I think that's correct. So again, we're focusing on things row by row and hopefully getting everything into the right places. And then finally, And that actually looks pretty right. So once we've gotten our first 3 rows correct, there is actually a list of solutions to this type of puzzle, both on the Pokemon Reborn forums and actually on the wiki for the perfection base as well, which is pretty cool. So only my bottom 2 corner tiles are incorrect. At least I'm assuming this one's correct. Incorrect. So what that means is I should rotate this once, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. And there we go. So there's actually 3 different ways that this could turn out. There could be all 4 tiles are wrong, the bottom 2 corner tiles are wrong, or the bottom 2 middle tiles are wrong. Or you could actually just get the first 3 rows correct and also get the 4th row correct in the process. Either way, this will actually summon our Mewtwo right here. It's actually kind of cool to see that the original legendary, the original powerful legendary, is right here, and it actually comes after God itself. So we're going to drop a safety save right there, and we're going to capture this thing. Alright, there we go. We finally caught the Mewtwo right there. So that's pretty cool. So we can send Mewtwo to our PC right there. That's not the only thing that I want to take care of here, though. So I actually want to head back to Meche Town now. You read the journals, or the diaries rather, and I think it's time that we paid that laboratory that we found in Meche Town a long while back another visit. Wait, so here we are in Meche Town, and we're going to go ahead and surf. I'm going to pop a repel really, really quickly. I almost forgot. I know exactly what happens when I do forget. It's usually absolutely awful. But over here is actually the Perfection Lab. You may remember that we did come here the moment we got Surf because there was a TM up here. But now, we have the laboratory key, and it fits the door perfectly. So inside here, we'll find a rare candy, but we'll also find some toxic waste that we can hit up with Seed Flare. So this place has a ton, and I mean a ton of lore. There is a lot of things that we can read down here. There's a lot of story that we can actually find out. So we're going to start right all the way up here. So we have a room with toxic waste, and we also have multiple laptops right here. So this computer is frozen. Jiggling the mouse has no impact. It seems to be infected with some sort of computer virus. Okay. But this screen reads Project D0002. Project D0001 describes the first attempt at creating a Delta Pokemon. We decided to attempt a Dark Poison type using Larvesta that was previously caught. So far the experiment seems successful, albeit unstable. The potential strength of this new Pokemon is unknown. Well, that's unfortunate. Over here, there's a video labeled Security Tape 06/XX. This is actually the more important laptop because it basically gives you the answer to a puzzle later on. And finally, over here, we have Project W0001. Project W0001 describes the first attempt at creating a perfect Pokemon. The experiment was unsuccessful, however, by accident, we seem to have discovered a new weather condition of sorts. While attempting to recreate Ninetales' drought, under different test conditions, the sky darkened instead of brightened. Further experimentation is needed. Perhaps this effect could even be released and publicized if recreatable. Well, that's kind of cruel. I don't think you should be experimenting on Ninetales. They're very, very beautiful creatures. Anyways, Over here is going to be that little puzzle that we saw earlier. So we're going to go ahead and hit the green tile right here, hit the yellow. Let's try that again. Hit the green tile, hit the yellow tile, and hit the blue tile. And that will get rid of all of the barricades that are all over here. This also gives us access to some more lore. So this is Incident D0001A. Experimentation on Project D0001 began today. Its emotional stability seems to have been strongly affected by the deltification process. It refuses treatment and does not cooperate with commands and suggestions. When provoked, it seems to connect 2 points in space-time through folding, effectively creating a wormhole. Incident D0001A describes, under a period of great distress, warping one of our researchers into the middle of the Alolan Ocean. It is also worth noting that its level has been increasing. Hopefully it will evolve soon. And this right here is Incident D0001B. Incident D0001B describes the evolution incident of Delta Larvesta. Before this happened, another Delta Larvesta, hereby referred to as D0002, was created as a controlled variable. On the day of its evolution, D0001 released a deadly toxin that infected the lab. Luckily, most of the staff wore gas protection equipment and were mostly safe. However, when D0001 began to attack the lab, we were forced to evacuate. 051, Reukra was able to catch the anomalous Pokemon and subdue it temporarily. Further steps need to be taken to control D0001 before it is used. D0002, the control Larvesta, was left here in the lab. Its survival is unlikely but possible, as it is currently unknown what toxin level it can ingest before internal damage occurs. And right over here we have a Manatee Statue. If you tried to grab this Manatee Statue with Heart Swap earlier, and if you tried to do it across the barricade, it wouldn't have worked. So we actually want to take this Manatee Statue right about over here. As you can see, there's a pressure plate on the ground, so we want to get this thing right over there. And now, if we come down over to the right, the lower right, there were some pink barricades. They should be gone now. And we can go down here to the basement. So I'm going to go ahead and hit a seed flare. And we're going to go ahead and cross that. So there's a max revive, which isn't too useful this late in the game. There's Bulldoze, which I don't know why this is such a late game TM. I don't know why this is even later than Earthquake. That's extremely weird. And there's a few other items like the escape rope, the timer ball, whatnot. So over here we have a couple of bookshelves. One is called the New Lab. Due to the inhospitable environment of the lab, we have evacuated and relocated to a small base underneath Helios City. Our research has shown that the toxicity level of this lab is decreasing over time, and it should be able to be revisited fairly soon, perhaps when we have completed our perfection research. Currently, D0001 resides on 051 Reukra's person. However, a Pokeball is not enough to keep it under his control. More experiments will have to be done. We will return for D0002 soon. Over here is going to be a book that reads old passwords, and this is probably what you're going to be looking for. Old passwords include Anti-Pass 1, Anti-Hydrogen, Pass 2, Helium, Anti-Pass 3. There is also an angry note about proper password storage attached to the bottom. For those who haven't figured it out, let's go back here and reread this again. Anti-Password 1, then Anti-Hydrogen. Pass 2, Helium. Anti-Pass 3. You can kind of see a trend right here, right? Anti-Pass 1, and then you have the first element of the periodic table, hydrogen. Then you have Pass 2, and it's just helium, the second element on the periodic table. So now we have Anti-Pass 3, and what would come after that would be anti-lithium, which is the third element on the periodic table. So that's actually a really, really cool little puzzle right there. And we're going to be using that in just a second. Also, before I forget, there is also the TM for Stone Edge right up here. I actually almost forgot that. It's kind of fair to have that as like a late game TM. It's not that bad. Anyways, there is a warning up here. It says, do not enter containment zone. We're going to enter anyways because we just don't know better. So right here, the door is locked. There's a small keyboard for password input. We're going to unlock it, and we're going to go ahead and put in the password anti-lithium. And that will open the door for us. So right up over here, you'll find the Delta Larvesta, and we'll also find Mewtwo Armor right up here. So the Mewtwo Armor is really, really cool, actually. The Mewtwo Armor doesn't actually boost your stats. Instead, it actually changes Mewtwo's ability to Hubris, which is basically special attacking Moxie. So every time you get a KO with Mewtwo while it's wearing that armor, you're getting +1 in special attack, which is actually pretty cool. It's not like Mewtwo really needed more tools, but still. So up here we have the Delta Larvesta. Drop a safety save and let's grab this. It is level 40, so it's a little bit higher level than what you're probably used to. So right there, we finally got the Delta Larvesta right there. It's a Delta species discovered by one of the 4 Rocket Bros. It prefers to remain in solitude away from all forms of life. When its anger peaks, it is able to distort dimensions. Absolutely insane. And the cool thing here is that is either your second to last Delta Pokemon or your third to last Delta Pokemon. But we'll get to that in a little bit later point. For now though, there's one last thing that I want to do. I want to visit the Alpha Temple, which is in No Man's Land. Alright, so we're here in Gaia Town. We're going to be heading to No Man's Land from here, so we're just going to go down into our dad's man cave, head into No Man's Land right over here. It's actually quick to get there if you know what you're doing, if you know the right path. So we're going to come down over here. We're going to be skipping a huge section of puzzles by using the rock climb spots right over here. It's very nice that we can do this. I'm really, really grateful that they put these in here, because otherwise you would be stuck going along the same route that you went when you first came here or when you were picking up snowballs, things like that. And that wouldn't be fun. Also, I recommend, even though you are going to be coming here, maybe often, maybe later if you need certain event moves, I do recommend having an idea of what Pokemon that you want to bring with you for these moves. You'll see what I mean in a second. So for now, we're going to begin the long, long trek to the back room. So all the way over here. And getting a little bit closer. Again, it's a very, very long trek, and it's kind of painful. It's kind of time consuming. But eventually we'll make our way all the way back here, and we'll see this really, really old guy. So after we stopped Reukra, this old guy right here appears, and he is the event move tutor. So he can teach some Pokemon rare and powerful moves that they could only learn otherwise in events. So we have Extreme Speed, we have Crush Claw, we have Extra Sensory, Flare Blitz, Dragon Ascent. So if you have Rayquaza, you might want to bring it here. We have Psycho Boost, we have Doom Desire, Roar of Time, Spatial Rend, Secret Sword, Bold Strike, Blue Flare, Decreate, Relic Song, Shadow Force, Night Slash, Hurricane. Not all of these are only learnable by legends. So for instance, I have my Delta Lilligant right here. If it did not have the Moonblast, or actually if it didn't have the Hurricane, I could actually take it here and learn Hurricane. So this isn't just for legendary Pokemon. So I could also take my Arceus right here and give it Extreme Speed, which is pretty cool. Yes, you want this, you need this. So again, kind of have an idea of what Pokemon you want to take here, because it is a very, very long trek. You don't want to waste this time. And with that, I think we're actually going to be done here for now. So thank you all so much for watching. We've mostly completed the game. I'm thinking there's going to be 1 or 2 more parts. I didn't realize this part was going to be so long. It probably doesn't help that I was kind of off my game today. My cat is over here. He's being kind of moody. He's being a little bit distracting. So that happened. But again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope it helped. And I will most definitely catch you all on the next one. Peace.